Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody can hear and see well. So just tell us if there is a problem in the chat. Welcome to everybody to this first edition of Meet AU. So my name is Elodie Laine, and I am assistant professor at Sorbonne University. And first, I will just briefly give you an overview of what the course is about. So the initiative was launched in 2016 with the aim of bridging the gap between teaching and research. So to do this, the course is intended to make the students, so you, work in collaboration, so to train to collaborative work, to make you address an open and ambitious question in biology, to also provide the opportunity to become actors of a scientific community by presenting your work to scientific peers, and to have also the opportunity to build your first network within and beyond your university. Okay. So concretely, you will realize a project from A to Z, so from the conception through the implementation, validation to the application on the meat scale in teams of 4, 5, so between 3 and 5, let's say, and 4 is the ideal situation. And this year we will try to predict the organization of chromatin based on high-C data. So that's the subject of this year. So typically at first you will find probably the problem very complicated, and along the course you will hopefully realize that it's not so complex and find a solution that is viable. So we will provide you with some basic concepts about the subject of the year. So typically this is the main goal of this session, to give you some basic notions so you can start. We will also provide you with some material, some indication of papers, bibliography that you should read, and also some helper tools. So you will have to try to identify strategies in the literature also based on what we explain to you, and implement them, test them, and try to analyze the results. And yeah, and in the end, so the real constraints that we have on this course is that you must handle in the end a functioning final product. So basically it should execute, there should be no problem, and it should be documented. So the task, the task will be divided in 2 challenges. And at the half of the semester, you will pair up with a different team to be able to realize the final project. Okay, so we will, in the following, we will explain what are these challenges. You will have access to collaborative work tools such as GitHub, and also Discord. So in principle, you will also all have access to computing facilities locally inside each university. And in the end, the final meeting day will be a flip symposium where you will present your work in the morning in front of a jury of researchers. And the members of the jury will give a seminar, research seminars, and you will be really the actors of the day. So you will be encouraged to ask questions to the jury members. So this year, the course is inscribed in the 4EU Plus Alliance, which comprises several European universities. So it's really, I think, the first year that we set up an international course, making all these universities interact with each other. So I think it's a really good opportunity to start knowing each university a bit better. And so to give you an idea of the different backgrounds and skills that we have in the different universities, I will let different master people who are in charge of the master to present their curriculum. So maybe we can start with Carl, because also I don't have his slide.
Yes.
Okay, so I should I
Can you
should,
give me screen sharing permission?
yeah. Okay. And I stop my sharing.
Okay. Okay, so let me share my screen. Yeah. Is everyone seeing, Elodie, are you seeing my? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I want to very briefly give an overview of the master program in Heidelberg. Most of the students registered in Heidelberg, so we have 16 students registered this year for this Meet EU course, and most of them are coming from one master program, and two are coming from a slightly different one. So the main master program involved here in this project is the Master of Molecular Biotechnology of the University of Heidelberg. It's actually coordinated by the Institute for Pharmacy and Molecular Biotechnology, and it's a combined program, bachelor and master program. And I think most of the master students have actually gone through the bachelor program. So that's why I wanted to briefly say a couple of words also about the bachelor program. So it's a very broad program with courses during the bachelor in biology, chemistry, biochemistry, biophysics. We have math and physics lectures. And then we have also bioinformatics, programming, and data analysis, statistics lectures through the bachelor. So it's not a pure bioinformatics bachelor program. At the end of the bachelor, the students choose one of three majors: bioinformatics or biophysics, or applied drug research. And I've put roughly the number, so it varies from year to year, but this is around 30% choose bioinformatics as their major, and then the other ones in the two other major programs. So we have around 80 students every year, so it's quite a very large bachelor program. And at the end of the bachelor, the students do their bachelor thesis during three months in corresponding to their respective major. And then a large majority of these students then continue in the corresponding master program. And this is a master program which is very freely configurable. So there are a few compulsory courses, but the students are free to kind of pick courses here and there. So there is a shared part. For example, all the students must attend a seminar series called MOBI for All, where researchers on the campus and present their work and introduce their topic. There's a shared seminar for project proposal writing, which is important for the master thesis. There's a course in biotechnology, and the students have to attend 45 scientific presentations, which are on the campus. And then they have to do lab rotations, 2 lab rotations for the major and 1 in the minor. And then they have to attend seminars, so 8 ECTS in the major and 4 in both minors, right? And during this master, many students also choose to do their lab rotations abroad, and they are free to do so. And then they finish with a master thesis. A master thesis consists of a project proposal, which the students have to write, defend, and which gets graded. Then they do their thesis, and then there's a thesis defense at the end of their master thesis. And they have to choose among many groups, many research groups, and many institutions around Heidelberg. We have the German Cancer Research Center, DKFZ, we have the EMBL, Max Planck Institute, and of course, many research groups at the University of Heidelberg, for example, at the ZMBH. So there are around 50 research groups where the students can go and do their master thesis. So this is for the master in molecular biotechnology. And I would like to mention 2 other master programs, because 2 students are coming from these master programs. One is the master in molecular biosciences, where there's a major, for example, in cancer biology or systems biology. And one of the students is coming from this program, and then another student is coming from the master's in biochemistry, where there's also a bioinformatics aspect in this master program. So I'm very happy that so many students from Heidelberg registered, and I'm looking forward working with them. That's it for Heidelberg.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe now we can move to Bartek.
Okay, okay, I'll try to, yeah, if you could maybe give me.
Yeah, I need to give you officially, so you're here, okay.
In the meantime, hello everyone.
Here, okay. But I cannot. No, but I think I cannot do it anymore. It should be a card. But otherwise, I have the slides.
Carl can do this, Carl, because I had the message that you have become the host.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now I have given you permission to, you should have now.
All right, I'll try that. Okay.
Okay, good.
Do you see my slides?
Yes, yes, we do.
All right, great. Hello, everyone. So I'm actually not really the person in charge of the whole master program, but I will show you a few slides with sort of a, that will kind of, I think it's actually quite similar to what Carl was showing. Okay, so this is about bioinformatics and systems biology studies at University of Warsaw. It's not all of our students enlisted for this course are from this, but majority of them are. So it's actually similarly organized into a bachelor's and master's part. The bioinformatics and systems biology studies are organized. I mean, the main organization is our department, which is math and computer science department, but about half of the lectures are taken by students at the biology and physics departments. There is bachelor's and master's levels. We do this for about 10 years now. So it started in 2008 at the bachelor's level and in 2018 at the master's level. So it's not a large program. We only admit about 30 people per year to the bachelor's level. We have about 150 or 150 to between 150 and 200 people studying math and about 200 people studying computer science at the same time. So it's the smallest of our programs. There's about 6 people, 6 candidates for one admitted place. And after these 3 years of study of bioinformatics and systems biology, from our current statistics, about 50% of the graduates continue in bioinformatics here, or some of them move abroad. And about 50% actually switch to another career. Most of those are actually switching to a programming career. That's, I guess, true everywhere. That this is probably the most sort of the most popular direction for people choosing to not continue their studies. But then at the master's level, we only admit about 20 people per year. And about half of them are from our own bachelor's program. So the other half is coming from various sources. So they did their bachelor's elsewhere. And again, at the master's level, about 3/4 of our graduates continue to do a PhD, most of them in biology, physics, or computer science, or various places where they can continue some sort of bioinformatics. Some people do applied math. Many also go abroad. Some of our graduates have actually encountered our graduates already in different places like Cold Spring Harbor Lab or Göttingen. I believe there were some people who already did their PhD there. So they seem to be successful wherever they go. And it's also similarly as in Heidelberg, it is a flexible program. This master level has to be quite flexible for people to accommodate that we have students coming from different backgrounds. So again, apart from bioinformatics majors, we have people coming from biotechnology, some people with background in computer science or physics or biophysics. So majority of courses, again, similarly to Heidelberg, are optional. And one thing we do is that students who have earlier background in biotechnology or biology are encouraged to take programming and statistics courses from the bachelor's level, so that at the end of the master's, we all have a working ability to basically do any data analysis tasks or some programming as well. Okay, so I guess to kind of just give an idea of what are the courses that we're, I mean, this is just selection. I mean, there's obviously a lot of introductory math, computer science, math and biology lectures, but kind of from the point of view of this particular course, there is programming in Python, there's algorithms and data structures, and there's statistical data analysis. Genome scale technologies are also a course that are dealing with next generation sequencing and these kind of techniques that can be useful. And then at the master's level, there's second parts of the statistical data analysis and the genome scale technologies. And we also have this kind of large bioinformatics project architecture project course that is kind of similar to what we're doing here, but it's not as involved in terms of actually teaming up smaller teams to perform a larger task. I think this is going to be very useful for students. And also kind of just to say a little thing about me. So I'm not in charge of the whole program, but I do teach some courses. And in our department, I run a regulatory genomics research group. And for a couple of years, we have worked on different aspects of high-C data analysis. So if the students have some questions, I hope we will be able to help them. So I think I'm looking forward to this whole project, because I think this will be very exciting to see what we can do with this kind of mixed crowd of people. Okay, I guess I should now somehow give permission to someone else now to?
Yes, thank you. So maybe
how do I do this?
Marianne? I think Carl is still animated. I don't know why I lost my animating powers. It's okay.
Yes, I'm in charge now.
Okay.
You're in charge. Okay, great. Fine. Then I don't have to do anything. Okay. Thanks a lot again. And back over to you guys.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Marianne, maybe you can present about
I will
Charles
try
University.
to share my screen. Do you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'll give. Okay. So here we go. I give a brief introduction to Charles University. We are in Prague, Central Europe. I just thought I will mention this for people who don't know. We are not sure we will join this year, but we will follow you closely. But there are few students who are thinking still to join, so we will see. But Charles University is also running bachelor and master bioinformatics program, and they are run by jointly by two faculties, Faculty of Science, where I sit, and Faculty of Mathematics and Physics. So this is a interdisciplinary, obviously, field, so we need to join forces, and we have pretty much the same story as two previous guys. We have a lot of bachelor studies based on combination of mathematics, physics, and informatics from the mathematical physical side, and biology, evolution, and from the Faculty of Science side, and it's really roughly half to half. And it's sort of preparation for the master thesis, for the master program, sorry, where we we are fortunate to join forces with two other institutions, EMBL in Heidelberg, Karl, we also work with them, and Max Planck Institute in Dresden, which is much closer to us. And they are helping us with few lectures we could not cover ourselves, so we try to be international. Both programs are relatively new. The bachelor started 2013 or 14, I believe. The master program is extremely new. We have third year running now. We have only 14 students in the master. The bachelor is a bit bigger. There are about, this year we have about 30 students, but previous years we had about 15 to 20 students. So it's the smallest from the ones you heard about, definitely. And in the master, we also try to be flexible, but we have probably more obligatory courses than the previous two programs. But the master thesis is about 30 credits, so it's 1/4 of the study. And our students can do it in any lab in Prague, which is also which is of course our faculty of mathematics and physics, but also Academy of Sciences, and they are open to go to EMBL or Max Planck if they find a place there, and they do. And we are part of the Elixir infrastructure, which is this infrastructure for safeguarding biological data. And the link here is the link which gives more details about our study programs if you are interested. Now, a little bit about our research interests. So we are really limited even in number of people who do bioinformatics here. So we are not able to cover everything. So most of us are doing structural bioinformatics, including myself. And there are people who are doing molecular taxonomy and development of genomics methods. One guy who works jointly here and jointly at the Sanger Center in Hingston and doing base calling. But we are interested to learn new things. So this high C data might be very exciting. And that's from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe now Giulio can present Milano.
Yes, of course. If I can share my slide.
Okay.
Can you see my slide?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to thank for this invitation. And of course, we are sorry because we were unable to, for several reasons, we were unable to participate to this initiative Meet You starting from this year, but we confirm that the University of Milan has a strong interest in participating to this initiative in the next year. And this interest is due to the fact that the University of Milan has several research groups which are involved in bioinformatics projects and many students interested. And There is also a great network of industrial opportunities around Milan, which can support this initiative and can represent a fruitful opportunity for the students. Going into detail, currently in Milan, there is a master degree in molecular biotechnology and bioinformatics. This MBMB master is substantially tailored for students with a background in biotechnology and molecular biology. And so this master degree is aimed to provide advanced skill in molecular biotechnology combined with computational biology and bioinformatics. And you can see in the list of the topics covered by this master has around 50 students per year, more or less, and is in English, of course, and around 1/3 of the students come outside from Italy. And as you can see, the topics are some topics such as molecular biology and biotechnology are, of course, biological topics, but there is also bioinformatics, data analysis, and structural biochemistry. Interestingly, there is, of course, a final project with a final master thesis, and very often this thesis is conducted by the student in private companies around Milan, of course, and this represents, I repeat, a great opportunity for the student to meet an environment different compared to the typical academic environment, and also possibly to find a job. But however, there are also other courses on bioinformatics in other master degrees, and I would like to focus your attention in particular on the bioinformatics course from the master in informatics, because this course, along with other courses on machine learning, data analysis, database, and so on, can represent an ideal pathway for students interested in bioinformatics coming from a computer science background. Then there are other courses, more specialized computational approaches for omics, bioinformatics, and molecular modeling in drug design, on structural bioinformatics in the master in quantitative biology. Also, from a research point of view, there are several groups in the University of Milan which are involved in a research project focused on bioinformatics and computational biology, of course, with different fields of application ranging from omics techniques, computational biophysics, and in silico drug design. As you can see in this slide, there are some more theoretical topics, for example, the development of bioinformatics algorithms and the combination of bioinformatics and machine learning, and also, of course, more applied topic and project, for example, the study and the prediction of protein function and structure and function, sorry, by bioinformatics approaches, and of course, the study of computational conformational dynamics of protein and other biological systems by using methodologies typical of statistical mechanics and computational chemistry. That is all for the University of Milan. Thank you for the attention.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we can have Alessandra presenting for Sorbonne.
Okay, so if I can share my screen. Okay, do you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So I'll put it in full screen. Okay. I would like to say 2 words about the master program in bioinformatics and modeling at Sorbonne University. So just two words also about the university, which is very, very new. It was funded as a Sorbonne Université just 2 years ago, and it includes the very old Sorbonne University that you see here in the left, and then the newer one, but has already about 70 years in age, that you see here on the right. And so on the left, you have the humanities, on the right, you have the science, and then the university contains also a faculty of medicine, which is spread out around the city. And we are in the center of the town. Here you see on the left, the humanities indicated here in the slides. And then on the right, the sciences and medicine is all over. So Sorbonne is a multidisciplinary research intensive institutions like the other institutions that you heard about until now. So it has 136 research structures, large departments, and well, mainly we do, of course, teaching for our students, but thinking a lot about research, mainly about research. And so there are many, quite many transversal, in fact, institutes that are bringing together different type of topics. So now for the master program in bioinformatics and modeling here at Sorbonne, it is a master program that was created in 2009. So it's about 10 years. And in computer science at the beginning, and then it opened also for biology students, and within the master program in molecular and cellular biology. And today the two master programs join together in a common coursework, especially for the second year of the master program. Each year right now we are having let's say 30-35 students for the M1, and then 30-35 students for the M2, and coming both of them from computer science and molecular and cellular biology. So let's say that there are a little more students that are coming from biology than from computer science, but we are about the same in numbers. So if you want some extra information, you can find the information here at this address. So just to give you an idea of the way we work and how we wanted to create this program, how we wanted to build it and design it. So the main idea is to bring students from computer science and biology background to arrive to answer to questions and develop methods that are original in computational and quantitative biology. So answer questions in life science, but starting with their background. And we really thought that it was important to keep the background of the students. And we have 3 years in computer science, really in computer science for the students, 3 years in biology. And the fourth year, so the first master course year. So it is still very anchored in computer science for the computer science students and biology for the biology students, even though there we start giving to them much more information coming from the other discipline. And but let's say for us the real core of even if there is already a lot of work done in the first year in this interdisciplinary interleaving, the real coursework is based on the M2 level, so in the last year, for what it concerns bioinformatics. So it was essential for us to think that the students could keep this background in their field, and yet providing them with anything we could in the best way for letting them opening up to the field of life science. So we built up the program in such a way that we could integrate biology with algorithms, combinatorics, and statistics. Within a framework where, yes, we speak about bioinformatics, but also about mathematical modeling of complex systems. So we designed our program in such a way that we have teaching blocks that are devised really for students coming from both disciplines that can work together and can profit from working together. So we have initiation courses, as I mentioned before, that bring them on both sides at the level of having a common language between the various disciplines. And there is another point that was very important for designing our courses. It was the fact that within a single course, we have different teachers that are coming from different disciplines that are intervening inside the course, and they are presenting to the students the objects that we talk about in the course, but by points of view which are different and are coming from these different disciplines. They might be physics, mathematics, computer science, but biology, chemistry, within the same course. So we don't have 5 people that are coming in, but for a given course, we might have 2 or 3. So here are the topics, but for going fast, let's say our master program is divided in 2 main type of courses. One is including genomics, comparative genomics, evolution, phylogeny, anything connected to handling of sequences. And the other part is more oriented towards structural bioinformatics for proteins, DNA, RNAs. And within these 2 main areas, we present advanced notions in algorithms for bioinformatics, statistics, analysis of complex data and data mining, and modeling approaches. Just 2 words more about the research projects. So the students have one research project in the first year of the master program and 6 months internship in the second year. Last thing I want to say is that we are also we created from about 10 years now an exchange program with the Université Libre de Bruxelles, and we have some exchange of a few students, I must say, 1 or 2 every year that decide to take courses here and there. So I've done with Sorbonne.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe I'm gonna ask again the permission to show the slides, and we can go back to the description of the course. All right. Okay, so here we are, 9th of October with the opening session. So I think every university is gonna organize itself as you want. And maybe I can just put... Oh, j'ai perdu le truc. Okay. Oh. Okay. So we can organize, so the idea is that we will all meet together if possible in December for the halfway forum, where each team is going to pair up with another team. And the final day will be organized at the end of January, most probably. And in between these sessions, we can organize some local meetings in each universities, and also we will organize some Q&A Discord sessions with everybody typically. We will also have some lectures by experts in the field. And so again, this will be shared among all of us. So regarding the evaluation criteria, there will be 5 criteria evaluated by the pedagogical team: the quality of the program, so the quality of the code and legibility, usability, the strategy, originality, relevance of the strategy, the quality of the analysis of the results, also the involvement that you have in the teamwork, and you will have to handle the code documented, and also some reports of about 10 pages plus a 2-page digest, and of course the presentations on the final day. And the jury members will evaluate the quality of the presentation, also the strategy and the analysis of the results. So now we are gonna give you some notion. So this is, I'm going to let Leopold talk.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Leopold. I write this teach, so I will hope that you enjoy it. So just to start a little bit to introduce you on the subject, we will speak a lot in mid-EU about DNA and how DNA is folded in a nucleus and how it organized. For this, you need just some basics of chromatin study. The DNA, due to its huge size, will have tendency to be folded a lot, but it needs to be expressed for the gene for all of this region. So some region will be open and some region will be closed. So the region that is open where the gene are expressed, it's the chromatin active. And you can see on the DNA that there is a lot of modification on the histone that roll around the DNA. And you can associate to a chromatin a lot of mark that is active. And for the heterochromatin, which is some region where the genes are really condensed and where you can't make gene expression, there is some other mark. And so there is a pattern and phase separation in the nucleus that help to organize the DNA in the nucleus. So that's what we will study here. And for this, we will do IC. IC, it's for high chromosome conformation capture. Basically, the idea is to know where all of the region of the DNA in the nucleus is close to another one. For this, you will make a cross-link operation. Cross-link, basically, it just, you create some bound for every region. You just freeze your DNA and make some link to each region that are close in space. After this, you put a restriction enzyme. For here, an example on the mouse, it's DPN2, and you will just digest your genome on small fragment from depending of your enzyme. Here you have the distribution. It will be around 100 base pair and 1 kb. So you have all your pair of regions that are close one to another that is linked by the crosslink, and that has been cut. Now, okay, I'm not good at Mac. After the digestion, you just purify your library and you obtain a bank of DNA fragments, which correspond to all that pair of regions that has been closed in space during the crosslink operation. After that, you just have to count every time you see one pair with another one of your DNA fragment, and you will count it and put it on a matrix ordinate by genomic coordinate, and just see it at as a heat map, and it will give you something like this. So here it's an example on mouse embryonic stem cell for the region of 15 to 60 megabase, and what you see is a huge diagonal. This one, it just means that regions that is close from genomic distance are close in space. It's logical. And you see less contact in orange and in yellow for regions that is been on higher distance just based on the genomic distance. The matrix is symmetric because it is how we made it. If a fragment is 1 is close to a fragment B, B is close to a fragment 1. So the matrix is symmetrical. Here, one thing that is really important is the notion of resolution, because you have fragment your DNA, but the fragment didn't have the same size, so we will aggregate them in order to have each block on the heat map with the same size. So here, for example, it's 10 kb. So that means each point on this heat map is a pair of region of 10 kb. And each point contains a count of all the fragments that has been close together during the crosslink. Because of the distribution of the matrix, you see it at the log 10 scale. So that's why there is some scale here. And I've normalized this matrix in order to have the same count for each line and each row. To make it more homogeneous, it's better to see it like this. On that kind of matrix, you have a lot of matter. It's a combination of all of the information that you have on the nucleus during the crosslink operation. So the first thing that you can see is the chromosome territories. It just means that each chromosome makes its own space on the nucleus. And if you zoom a little bit, you will have a square pattern like this, a chest pattern. You have it a little bit here on this short example where with a little bit of chest pattern. This pattern represents the compartmentation, the fact that a chromatin tend to colocalize with a chromatin. Heterochromatin tend to colocalize with heterochromatin. It's a phase separation in the nucleus that is universal in all species. But if you zoom a little bit more and you change your resolution and see the genome with a smaller view, you will see some square on the diagonal, some aggregate of chromatin along the diagonal. That kind of features are topological associated domain, or TAD. The TAD is just a huge block of chromatin who colocalize together because of the fact that genes need to be expressed. And for this, they need to aggregate some DNA region with one another. And in fact, you can observe the DNA as just a succession of loops, just 2 points of chromatin that are close together, and of TAD, just a huge cluster of chromatin. And all of these clusters made genomic compartments and chromosome territories. So that's the whole story. So in this stitch, you will have to detect the compartment and the topological associated domain. So this is your two missions during this stitch. So I will now start to present how you will detect topological associated domain for one team. And after I will explain how to detect genomic compartment for the other team. And you will have to make pair of team. One will detect TAD, one will detect compartment. And you will have to present all of your detections that you made. So for this, we give you some data set like this. It's your input data set. So you have here an example for chromosome 21 of human at 100 kb resolution. That means all of blocks are of 100 kb. And you see the genomic coordinates. So for example, something like 1 million base pair. First column, you have the genomic coordinate on the column E. Second column, you have the coordinate on the column G. And for this pair of region, you have the number of times you see it one with another. Because the resolution is really huge, you have a lot of fragments, so you see a lot of contact on region with the same coordinate. It's completely logical. I will give you the dataset at two resolutions. 25 kb, it will be mostly for the TAD team, and 100 kb, it will be mostly for the compartment team. Okay. And I will give you that kind of dataset for 5 cell types taken from the paper of Rao et al., which is the best reference that we can have on the human genome. So you have 5 cell types, and you will have to detect compartment and TAD on these 5 cell types. So for this, challenge 1, detection of TAD, the goal that I proposed today is to make a TAD detection system. So here, it's an example of an algorithm. It's top-down, which is a standard in the that has been published. So, for example, the idea of top-down is to make a diamond square along the genomic diagonal of your heat map and to count all the contact that is present on this diamond. So after this, it makes you the curve that has been in black on this slide. And what they do is just they fit locally this curve and detect all the minima, because, for example, on this matrix, you see there is a lot of square. If you apply a diamond along the diagonal, you will see that around to TAD, there is some region with less contact. That's why what they try to detect with this algorithm. So they just try to detect when there is a drop-off in the sum. So they fit it and detect all the drops that are significative based on genomic on the distribution of all the contacts that they find. The proposition today is to make an algorithm like this and to try to detect the best TAD that you can. So to optimize the precision of that kind of algorithm. So for this, you have a lot of information, like the size of your diamond that you make, and you will have to parameter it in order to detect the TAD with more robustness. Here, an example of figures that I made during my PhD, just to help you a little bit. Sorry, it is in French. I forget to traduce it. On the y-axis, you have the number of domains that you detect with top-down, with the parameter k, which is the size of the diamond, at 3 different resolutions. So 10 kb in red, 40 kb in green, and 80 kb in blue. And you will see that the number of domains that you detect, depending of the size of the red square that you make along the diagonal, is not the same depending of this parameter. And you will have more domain with a parameter around 7 or 8. So this is something that you will have to take account in order to detect the best TAD. To compare yourself, you will have the data set that has been made by Rao et al. For the paper. And you will have to confront yourself to this data set. And instead, can I make something like this one? There is some open question on this part, like, can we define classification of TAD? So for this, you will have a lot of epigenetic marks. And how do parameters influence for the detection? That was the parameter k of the size and something like this. You will be completely free to implement the TAD detectors that you want. So I give a lot of examples on the GitHub. In order to give you some ideas, I put some YouTube slides that explain Arrowhead, which is the algorithm from Rao et al. So you will have the choice. Now, okay, there is some blah. I will speak about the challenge of detection of genomic compartment. It is the same idea, but you will have to detect genomic compartment. So for this, you will have to detect the chest pattern in the matrix and be at the global scale. So that's why you will analyze the dataset at... Il y a quelqu'un qui parle dans le micro. So you will have to detect genomic compartment. So for this, there is a state of art, and that's what I show you today. This challenge contains more biology than the previous one, and you will be evaluated more on how you understand the genomic compartment than the other one. The TAD detection one is a technical challenge because it's completely make a parameter and optimize it. And the compartment one is try to detect them and understand what you see on this. So for this, the typical pipeline that I show you today, it's one for my paper. It's you load your matrix. You apply first the sequential composite normalization in order to have same number of contacts in each row and each line. With that kind of code, it's just to have the same number of contacts along the whole genome in order to make it more homogeneous. After that, you will have to divide each contact along the diagonal by its mean value. It will give you a pattern like this. In order to remove the biases that I speak about the fact that there is more contact at close distance against long distance. You don't want this, you want to see the pattern and the chest pattern. And so you will just want something that is really homogeneous. So for this, you just harmonize based on the genomic distance. After, there is still one transformation that you have to make is to compute the Pearson correlation at each point for the correlation from the line and the row. It gives you a pattern like this with the positive and the negative value. And in here, you see really the chest pattern that has been easily to see on the first one, but I just made some operation and transformation from the matrix in order to highlight it. When I have this pattern, now it's really simple. It's just compute singular value decomposition or PCA and see the first component on this PCA. The first eigenvector of this matrix, for example, have this pattern. So it's completely described my chest pattern on my matrix. That's why I made all of this transformation. It's just to make it easiest to see. And so now all the positive value are one compartment and all the negative value are another compartment. But because of the PCA and the reduction of dimension transformation, I don't know which part is a positive and which part is the negative. And I don't know which part is the chromatin and which part is the heterochromatin. For this, what I propose you today is to use exon density that I can compute at base pair resolution at each and it will give you an help in order to discover which part is the chromatin and which part is the heterochromatin, because a chromatin contains margin. So you check on your first eigenvector which part contains margin in base pair, and you will know that this value are the compartment A and the other value are the compartment B. Basically, the positive are the compartment A and the negative are the compartment B. So you will just have to make an operation with them, invert it depending of if it's in the good order or not. Alors, for this output, I will come you that kind of format, and you will confront you against me and my pipeline. So I just take all of the data set, I put it on my pipeline, and you will have to confront it to me. All of the data set, the IC matrix, the TAD, and some epigenetic features that I will show you after are on this link. So don't hesitate to go on it. There is everything that you need for this teaching. And for the challenge, the compartment challenge, there is some open question that is far more important than for the TAD challenge, because for compartment challenge, detect the compartment, it's really easy, but you will have to solve one of these open questions that has been proposed here, like, can we increase the resolution? So we will start to detect compartment at 100 kb and after detect it at 25 kb. You will probably see a difference. Why? Can you answer that question? Another question that has been interesting is with which part of the IC matrix you detect compartment. Did you detect it with interchromosomal contact or intrachromosomal contact? Did you see some difference? Yes, no, why? Or can we define more than two compartments? For this, it's a little bit tricky, but maybe you can say that, okay, here I have a really chest pattern, but maybe on my pattern, I have more than two components. Maybe I have 3 or 4 or 5. And can you detect that information? This is one of the questions that you will have to address for the compartment challenge. For the TAD, you only have to detect TAD, but the best as you can. For the compartment, you will have the basic pipeline to make and one open question. After that, when you will have finished your TAD detection and your compartment detection, you will have a combined challenge with pairing of two teams. So for this, it's just the idea that, okay, you have two features. Are they linked to each other or not? And are they linked with different cell types? So can I, by example, make the phylogeny just based on my compartment detection or on my TAD detection? Or did I need these two parameters in order to have a good phylogeny along my 5 cell type? So for this, I highly encourage you to finish your TAD and your compartment detection, solve the resolution issue, and apply hierarchical clustering on all of the features that you detect. Now I think it's just time to give the speech to Elodie again, or Juliana. So thank you a lot.
Okay, thank you, Leopold. So I'm Juliana, and I will present, but I have just to, like this. Okay, so now get started with the main tasks. So the main task now is define the teams the first task, in fact, is define the teams. So 4 or 5 persons max, depending on your skill and background. And ideally, we have to try to mix complementary skills, okay, to make the job easier. Another important task is the biography search, and try to understand the concepts as soon as possible. So for that, you have the slides. Everything was recorded, so you can listen again and again. We have videos, we have a blog, and we have a lot of papers in this domain. Another thing that you have to do as soon as possible is define your strategy and methodological choice. So for that, try to do a detailed report and identify the risks and alternative solutions. Implementation is very important, so start it as soon as possible. So sorry for this technical problem. So now it's good. Okay, so implementation, try to start to code as soon as possible and well documented. Validation, so application of test case, benchmark, and varying the parameters and check your performance. And of course, at the end, the presentation of the tool and all results during the oral presentation and also the written report. Okay, so I will explain you some good practices and some ways to follow the project advancement. So something that is very important to have in mind is to start as soon as possible. So a good model project, or is this one that we show in this picture, the spiral model for the self-development, that try to do it, divide the project in small tasks and try to test it as soon as possible by producing the prototypes. And each time, of course, the first prototype is very simple, but it can give you an idea to improve it and refine it for the next one. So each time we construct the prototypes and we can evaluate with this prototype, because it's a real application, we can see the problems, we can take that we can see what works better. Okay, so the main message here is do not wait until December to get a functional code. So start it as soon as possible and test it as soon as possible. Okay, some holes in the project that is important. So you are at least 4. So you have to try to find a way to be organized. And for that, something that is important is to define the roles in the project. We can identify at least 5 roles. For example, manager, the person that deals with resource and times and try to animate the meetings. Technical expert, person that have more programming skill, for examples, for implementation and validation. Scientific expert, someone that's find more easier to read the papers and understand and do the proposition for the project. And deliverable expert, someone that will write the reports and prepare the presentation. So of course, all these roles are very relevant for the project, and the experts must exchange. So each one can play several roles and shoot in this project. But the most important here is everyone knows exactly what he or she has to do. Okay, so now we talk about some good practice when we programming. So the main message here is try to revise your code hours, because sometimes, or most of the times, we construct functions, we do some piece of code that are never used. So try to write a clean code, and for that, we have to reread the code several times and clean it. Okay, so we know that it's impossible to know in advance everything that we have to do. So for that, do not try to be perfectly and completely design the project before you start. So for this is very important, the spiral model, because in this case, we try to reduce the task, the project, and do something easily, and after we improve. So another thing that we have to have in mind, that your initial strategy and choice maybe will be changed during the project. So be flexible, okay, and allow you go back and forth and implement your solution in a modular way. And take in mind that you can always improve your code in the next time. And another thing that you have to control is the time. So there will always be more things to do than the allowed time and resource permit. So do not define objectives that are impossible to reach, be realistic, and make compromise. Okay, another thing that we can do to help us to develop a good project is to define the task, taking into account two important things. That is the complexity of this task and the business value associated to each task. And for that, after do that, we can choose each task we should do first. That is, tasks that are less complex and add more business value. Another thing that you can do is just split your work, your task, in three parts, in three columns. And that is tasks that we have to do, the task that you are doing, and tasks that you have to do. So to do, doing, and done. And rank your task, take into account if the task is critical, major, or minor. So critical task you have to do immediately. Major task we have to do, maybe we can wait a moment. In minor task we can do if you have time at the end. Of course, each task as well, you can split it or divide, rank it in two parts, urgent or not urgent. So if you have a task that's critical and urgent, you have to start for that. Okay, so what to do for the next time? So creation your GitHub account, it is not the case, and send to us your username to add you in the project, because in the GitHub you have everything, slides, description of the projects, papers, everything, and data, of course, so everything. The first thing to do is that. After, you have to choose the strategy and split it in subtasks. And maybe split it in three columns to do, doing, and done. And also try to do the tasks that are urgent, that you have to do, that can add for your projects a business value, so start for that. And define the roles of each team member. So who you do what. And start implement your part as soon as possible. Another thing, just to see if you do this thing, start to think about your strategy, is to prepare 2 or 3 slides in an informal way to present your strategy and how do you imagine how you think you can address these problems or this challenge. So thank you very much. Maybe, so now Elodie will talk with you.
Okay, thank you very much, Juliana. So now I'm just gonna show you, I'm gonna stop the sharing and then go back to it. I'm just gonna show you briefly what we have on the GitHub. So first, do you have questions maybe, or are there things that are not clear? Or are there some additional information that somebody wants to give?
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just about the project, we need to create our own GitHub repository.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh yeah, we do need to create that.
So I didn't really understand. It's about the GitHub repository. You don't know how to create it, maybe?
No, I'm just saying that that's one of the steps is to create this repository and have different objectives for each user. So each, yeah, that's just it.
So otherwise, maybe you can write, because I'm not sure I understood. There is some strange thing with the sound. So for the GitHub, basically you will have one repository for each team, which will be private, and you will be able to exchange by creating issues. So we will also create issues, and you can also use the Discord platform if it's easier. Each team is same project. So yeah, all the teams are gonna address the same project, but so some teams are gonna choose compartment detection and some teams TAD detection. So ideally it would be great if we can have half of the team on one task and half of the teams on the other task. And so then you will pair up. So the final project that you will handle to us is a program that will be able to detect both TADs and compartments. And also you will try to address the combined challenge. So you will be mostly evaluated on the parts that you really developed. Is that clear? For the implementation, yeah, you will implement just the part, the task, either the compartment or the TAD task. But you will have, of course, to integrate the two tools together to make just one.
Hi, I have a quick question regarding the pairing. Do I understand it correct that we can only pair within another group of the same university, or is it also possible across different universities?
No, in principle, you can pair up with any team from any university. There is no problem, because we will try to arrange the forum so that you can, in any case, after the forum, at the date of the forum, we will open all the repositories. So you will have access to the repositories of all the teams. So it's like a bit, you do your market, right? So you will be able to, if a team has an interesting strategies or interesting the result that they could show, then you can pair up with them. And I think the integration is easier to do with distance than really the implementation of one task. So no problem.
I think the question was because on the Google Sheet with the different tabs, it appears that the teams are paired within the institution. But indeed, it's not the case. So also the message to everyone in the end, I think it will be even more interesting to try to pair teams from different.
Yeah, sure.
So don't worry about this pairing in each one of the tabs. we will kind of reorganize everything
Yeah.
mid of this.
So let's assume there is a problem in the Google Sheet. I mean, the pairing shouldn't be decided now in any case. So it's just to know which task you do, the columns, but don't ignore the pair thing right now. Yeah. So other questions?
There is a lot of questions on the chat.
On the chat, okay.
For example, they ask about the computational language. I said that I only request to work in Python 3.
Yeah, so for the computing language, the programming language, there is no constraints from us. So you can do whatever you want. Yeah, but the codes that we will give you, the helper tools, are coded in Python 3. So if you want to, but it's really up to you, then you can, I mean, you can recode them. It's just to help you. So there is no constraints.
They just have to check with their computational resources if they have this language.
Yes. Yeah. So you need to check with the computational resources that you have also, maybe for compatibility. But the tools will be, the material we give you will be mostly in Python. So when do we have to choose a task? Yeah. So ideally you should choose today. That would be good, so that we can really have everybody. We can make sure that we have a good balance between the two tasks, and we can create the repository this weekend. Yeah, that's it. Other questions, maybe?
So Elodie, I have a question. So you will create the GitHub repos for all the teams?
Yes.
Or should, okay.
Yes, we will do it for each
based
team.
on the sheet, the sheet that you will create that. Okay,
yeah,
good.
Exactly. So this is not, the students don't have to do it. We will do it, and they will just have access to a private access to their team repo.
Okay, excellent. Thanks.
Okay, so maybe to let you think a bit more about the questions, I'm gonna share again my screen just to show you what we have in this GitHub. Okay. So basically, we will just, as soon as you give us your GitHub account, we will add you to the organization. So you will be able to see that there is already a lot of materials corresponding to the previous years. So besides the private repository for each team, you will have access to the sharing, well, it's in French, partage, the sharing repository, basically. So we put here all the material that we give you. So right now we have some description of the project. So we encourage you very much to read these parts, the README. And you have the link to the Discord server. You have the sheets to fill out for group definition and pairing, but not pairing right now, okay, according to what we said before. And then we give you also a description of the task, where are the data, a description of the tools, and some papers for bibliography. And in addition to the papers, we indicate you some texts that were written especially to give you, specifically designed to give you a comprehensive introduction on the subject. So you have French versions and English versions. Video. Ah oui. Dans le papier, in the paper. Yeah, so there is also the really important reference paper that we are gonna work with, is the Rao paper. Leopold mentioned it many times. And there is also a very nice video with this paper that you can watch. It's really interesting and well explained. So we will add some stuff along the way, but just to show you, for example, right now you already have the slides that we showed you today. So if we want to see them again, no problem. And there are also some slides with more explanation. So this will, we will come back to some specific points of the project in the middle sessions, not middle sessions, in the following sessions. So, for example, here is just the slides that we saw today. So basically, don't hesitate. And then, if you want to create an issue, it's very easy. You just go here, and you can create some issues. So create issues in the sharing repository so that everybody can see. But if it's easier to work with the Discord, then maybe we will do this. Okay. So do we have some new questions? There is only 4 roles. What about the 5th? 5 per groups max. Ah, yes. Yeah, you mean if you're 5, what should be the additional role? Maybe you will have redundant role, or you need to find a to find a new role. So 3 is okay. 3 to 5 is okay, but honestly, based on our experience, when you're 3, it's a bit not enough. It will add you some work, clearly. When you're 5, you're gonna have more problems to organize yourself. So sometimes 5 is less efficient than 4. That's what we observe. So that's why we advise to be 4. And so 5, you need to be really careful to exactly for the roles to know. The very important thing is that everybody is responsible for something, and so has to give some feedback, give some results to the other members of the team. And the other very important point is that you need to start now. It needs to be concrete. To get concrete, you need to try implementing relatively soon, and not just, think vaguely about the subject for a lot of time. Okay. So maybe, Leopold, you can show the Discord.
Okay.
Ouais, alors attends.
Hi everyone, it's me again. Because of the actual issue of the COVID and how we are organized, we have been thinking a lot about how you can speak which all to another and try to have something that is really open and just friendly for you. And because we know that you all play video games, we think that Discord maybe it's the most familiar interface. I see that you are more on the Discord than on the GitHub, so I think we make the good choice here. I will try to present it a little bit. Actually, I'll just create one open Discord for this meetup preparation with just the basic rules. And this is really the basics, just don't troll on this Discord. It's just a working space, so please be nice with each other. All of the teachers from each country are admins, so they can create specific textual room where you can speak to everyone. Here you can see that I speak sometime on the main just to say hello to the first people that have been there, like Elodie or me. There is an open chat room just in order to to speak freely here without any rule. We have some administration rule just to speak with each other, one another. Varsovie already create one chat. It's just like IRC. I don't know if you know that kind of chat. It's just a place where you can discuss with each other. I think it will be maybe help you to communicate and make some group and work with session. If we need to speak with me or another teacher, you can just go to the vocal chat. You just have to click on it, and after it's just like Skype or another stuff like this, and you can speak freely on it. So basically, you can chat with just one people. You just have to click on it. It's like most Skype, but it's mostly made for video games, and it works perfectly for teaching or working. So I think it's a nice compromise. And if you need some specific chat, don't hesitate to ask me in private. I will create it, and you are free for this. Hop là. And I cut off the micro.
Okay, thank you, Leopold. So we can stop the sharing. All right, so are there other questions? So the objective would be to register in the Google Sheets today so that we can create the repo this weekend and define the task you want to address, and don't hesitate to ask us questions. I think if it's okay for everybody, we can stop now, probably. All right. No reaction, so all right. So thank you, everybody, and so we will announce also for the next dates.
There is one question from.
Very good. Do we know how many students from BMC registered in Paris? We don't know. I don't know. I asked to send me back an email, and about 12 students did it, but I'm not sure it's the whole thing. So yeah, exactly. So the course in Sorbonne University is mandatory for students coming from computer science, but not for those coming from biology. So this is optional for you. Yeah. So we will see.
And 10 people left.
But I think, that you have to give your wishes today. So everybody has to decide today which course they're going to follow. So we can fill the Google Sheet today, probably. All right. No more questions. Yes, so this is recorded. So we will also give a link on the GitHub too. So really the reference for the material we give you is the GitHub. So you should really go there and try to see what happens, and try also to put yourself in watch, to be able to receive notifications when things change. So we will give you the video of this session. And we also will indicate you when is our next session, at least in Sorbonne, because maybe we're going to have some more information from Leopold. We can record this as well. And okay, as soon as we proceed, we will give you this information about the dates also. All right, I don't really understand if there is a restriction in country, town for the team. So in principle, there is no restriction, but according to our experience, it's easier for you if you form the teams within each university. So typically at Sorbonne University, you have these two backgrounds. So we encourage you to make teams comprising students, computer science and biology students, because I think it's interesting to share the skills. Yes, there is also, okay, so this is nice if you can do this, but this is also nice if you can probably meet easily or I don't know. Usually students are happy if they can pair up with, no, if they can make teams with people that they already know or people they can really interact intensely with. So with this COVID period, I don't know, but okay. So that's why we tell you that you can pair up with a team from another university, but the functioning within teams is gonna be within universities. Also because the computing resources you're gonna have access to or depend on the university. Did we already get the GitHub link? As soon as you give us your GitHub account, we send you an invitation to join the organization on GitHub. That's how it works. So we don't provide the link. Yeah, okay. And Leopold, what did you say? Ah, yes, there is also something that Leopold said before, probably. So when, let's say the TAD challenge is more computer science-like, if you wish, and because it's a bit more involved in terms of development to get a correct result, an acceptable, reasonable result. The compartment challenge is a bit more biology-like because you need to maybe, it's more easy, it's easier to get some acceptable results, but then you have maybe it requires a bit more biological interpretation, analysis. So if we can define some colors like this, yeah, we can say that. So maybe it can guide also your choice. Okay. Other questions? So in any case, we will be active on the Discord server, so you can ask questions at this time as well. So if there are no more questions, maybe we can... What?
Is there a restriction country town for the...
No, I answered this.
Okay, ensuite, est-ce qu'on a tous le lien du GitHub?
Yes, aussi, I answered.
Okay.
Okay, so apparently we answered all the questions. All right. So thank you all for coming, for participating. And we wish you a very good edition and see you soon.
Thanks very much, Elodie and Leopold. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward.
Encore sur Discord pendant une... Ça se peut aussi finir à quelle heure?